Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the boxing circuit. I have just done a video with a last-minute prediction looking ahead to the rematch between Zhilei Zhang and Joe Joyce, which is due to take place tonight. So, if you are interested in my prediction and my take on the fight, please do check that video out. I'll pop a link to it in the description of this one. This video, though, is actually unplanned. As I was loading the previous one, I was just taking a look at the undercard for tonight's fight because I knew Anthony Yarde was fighting on this bill. Now, at the time when this was announced, he was due to take on a guy called Ricky Summers. And at the time, I'd made a comment that I didn't really see the value in this fight. I felt it wasn't a competitive fight. It was one that Anthony Yarde would win, and I didn't really see why he was dropping down so drastically from world level to take on Ricky Summers. Now, that isn't a slight on Ricky Summers, but he's no way comparable to Artur Beterbiev. Now, granted, Beterbiev is a world champion, but if you've got ambitions to challenge again for a world title, I felt that you might want to find an opponent who's of a slightly higher caliber than someone like Ricky Summers, because that might put you in good preparation for the next time that you do take on a world champion. Anyway, Ricky Summers, for whatever reasons, pulled out of that fight, and now Anthony Yarde is due to take on a replacement opponent. So I was just checking this guy out a moment ago because, to be honest, I wasn't really following it this week. I just come across it as I was uploading this video. Now, Anthony Yarde is due to take on a guy called Jorge Silva, a Portuguese light heavyweight. Now, this guy has had 22 wins, 8 losses. 3 of those 8 losses have come by way of knockout. And out of his 22 wins, he stopped 12 of his opponents. So you think, not the greatest of records. He is a last-minute opponent. But when I've looked a bit more into the background of this guy, he seems to have fluctuated in terms of fighting in weights. So over the last 4 years alone, this guy has taken fights at super middleweight, light heavyweight, and also cruiserweight. So I'm not quite sure what weight this guy settled on. He is 40 years old. Never heard of this guy before. By looks of it, a lot of his fights take place in Portugal. But I really just wanted to ask the question, what the fuck is Anthony Yarde doing fighting this guy? Like, I really don't get it. Where did Frank find this guy? I talked about, in the video, which I made a comment on previously about Yarde. I like Anthony Yarde. He's an exciting fighter. He's had a couple of, obviously, high-profile fights, Beterbiev, obviously Kovalev, Lyndon Arthur more on a domestic stage. But, why is he fighting this guy? Like, you get absolutely nothing from beating this guy. I just don't know how you go from fighting Beterbiev to fighting a guy that nobody's ever heard of. And not only that, but he's not necessarily a light heavyweight. He fights across 3 divisions. So I don't know if this does anything for your rankings. I expect this fight to be short, to be over within a round or two. So does it do anything for any of the stuff that you've been working on in the gym? How does this prepare you in any way, shape, or form to take on somebody of the caliber of Beterbiev again, or Bivol, or any of the leading light heavyweights? I just have no idea. Even domestically, you would think someone like Dan Aziz, Joshua Buatsi, whoever wins that fight, is likely to be an opponent for Anthony Yarde moving forward. How does fighting this guy get you in any shape towards fighting those guys? I just don't get it. I've seen this too many times, especially with Frank's fighters, where he'll get them, he'll navigate them into a high ranking within the governing bodies. He'll get them a title shot. If they fall short, seemingly they just drop down massively. And then you wonder why you can't necessarily headline with Anthony Yarde unless it's against a credible opponent where they are responsible for shifting half of the tickets, like someone like Beterbiev in their last fight. I honestly don't get it. I just think this particular fight is a waste of time. I'm really disappointed when you see boxers like Yarde. You don't see them out all the time. These guys probably fight, twice a year? So to watch him in just what is just a non-fight, really I don't see the point in this at all. Make of it what you will. I really just wanted to jump on, really to ask the question, what do you guys think about this fight? Because for me, I just really don't see the point in it. I hope it doesn't feature high up the card, because what's the point? A bit like, Prince Nassim Hamid's son, chief support to the Usyk Dubois fight. That was a waste of time. Did nothing to get the crowd hyped for the main event. And I suspect if this goes as chief support, again, it will fall flat because it will just be a complete blowout, and something that really, as a boxing fan, like, how do you get excited about that? You don't, So I think Anthony Yarde and Frank have really got to do better because, like I say, this isn't hating on Yarde. I like Yarde. I want him to do well. But we see too many of these fights where he's just taking on opponents where he is the A side. He is an overwhelming favourite. And I'm not so sure that puts you in good stead for when you challenge for world honours, like we found out against Beterbiev. A valiant performance, granted, but in that fight was really outclassed, and Beterbiev won most of those rounds. Bit similar to Daniel Dubois against Usyk. Get a high ranking, but when you go in there against these fighters, are you really ready to take them on? I'm not so sure. So again, a little bit of a vent, to be honest. Really want to see these guys do better. If I didn't care about Yard and wasn't bothered about his career, I wouldn't make this video. But this is really just to try and encourage those guys. Hey, up your game because we want to support you, but you got to be starting to take more credible fights than this. So let me know what you think. We'll see what happens tonight. My prediction: Anthony Yarde win within 2 rounds, and yeah, we'll see what comes after that.